Rudy, because I play rugby, people expect me to chase after every suspect.
And first.
Yeah, you go. And then some of the members will be cheering me on.
No, man.
I knew the captain was gonna catch you.
Here we go, Ruckers. Whew. Guys, welcome back to another episode of your number one rugby podcast. It's episode 118 of Behind the Ruck. We are proudly supported by SuperSport Bet, okay? And today, whether you are from Vredenburg, Wellington, Paarl, Worcester or Swellendam, this is the one for you that will make you smile, that make you proud to be a Boland family. Guys, I am Rudy Page, former Springbok, and next to me I've got my partner in crime.
Hey, your former Springbok, Johan de Jong. Partner, all good, eh? Are you good?
Probably a bit not so good. The Bulls took a hiding in Ireland, so we're still picking up the pieces this week and figuring out what is happening with my team and everything.
I'm sorry, man, because I backed him, the Ulster boys last weekend.
I know.
I mustn't put the knife.
It's the way we played that is more disappointing than anything else. And we're going to get into that later on in the episode, Ruckers. But not too bad. I'm back studying again. Exams is coming up with Stadio. My education again. So working really hard and trying to make your number one rugby podcast even better.
Yes, even better. Okay, and you know to like, share and subscribe like always. Yeah. Now, all good this side as well.
Is it?
Yeah, happy days. Obviously, weekend away in Paternoster, West Coast. Ek like
Dis baie weer. Dis baie weer.
Ek moet afswitch, my hare losmaak en actie kry. But guys, what to expect on Behind the Ruck, okay? It's Boland Pilot. We've got a guest in the house. Turlo, the one and only Turlo Mars in the house. We will cover him and see what he's up to at the moment, okay? Is it Boland Sundays, Police Academy, Rugby Academy? We got a lot to cover with top 12 and stuff as well. And then we've got the results of week 3 and then the fixes also of week 4 coming up of the URC. So strip yourself up, okay? It is showtime at your number one rugby podcast.
And on your number one rugby podcast, our proud hydration partner, Switch on board.
Yes.
So get a Switchy. Get yourself ready for a massive episode, an exciting episode, okay? Get some energy, get some vitamin C if you don't feeling too great, okay? We're going to have some fun with Turlo Mars up now.
Yes, here we go. Up next, Turlo Mars.
Let's go.
Ooh, Rucker's big deal. If dedication was a person, it's him. If sacrifice was a person, it's him. If Boland Goat was a person, it's him. Hey, can you believe it? Hey? Policeman in the week, but weekends, Boland Cavaliers. Hey, Turlo Mars.
Yes, Rudy, massive honor for me to be here. Good to be with you guys. Always such an exciting atmosphere when I'm amongst you guys. So good to be here.
Yeah, we're super excited. Eh?
But he looks fantastic still. I must be honest. It's been a few weeks post Currie Cup. He still looks good. And the Ruckers partner, you know what we do. Because you guys have been asking for him. We sort for you out.
Yes.
Okay. Para Christmas.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're good in terms of, is it pre-season now? What's happening now?
Yeah, so pre-season started last week, 6th of October. But we had a 3-week break. So some of the guys went to Langebaan and Hermanus. But I had to be in Paarl East. My annual leave was exhausted because of the season.
Yes.
So when the other guys were on holiday, I had to work, unfortunately, but I enjoyed it.
Yes, explain to us the balance.
Yeah.
What you doing, daytime, nighttime, weekend time?
Okay, so a detective we have a fixed time of work. Your average detective would work like 7:30 till 4 o'clock. But for me, that's playing sports. I start at 6 and then I finish at 2. And then at 2:30, I start with training at Boland. So we have prehab, and then at 3 we have gym, and then at 4 we have a team meeting, and then at 4:30 team training starts. So my day starts at 4:30 when I wake up to report on duty at 6 o'clock, and then at 2 o'clock I leave, and then my rugby day starts.
Yes.
Turlo, I can't help myself, partner, but you're a detective by day. Sunday, you play in front of a 12,000 pack stadium on SuperSport. Monday morning, you're back at... How does that work, Boykie? How do you go from... you were just on TV yesterday. Now you're looking at a case of whatever it might be, opening a docket.
I think it's Sweets. He's got all the energy.
Okay, so it's funny that our head of marketing, Mr. Linden, he just said off the cuff one day before the season started, he said, yo, Thurlow, I have so much respect for you, working a full-day job or full-time job and then coming to play rugby and compete at this level. Then he made a joke like, Monday, Dion Fourie would go, take his shake, go do some recovery stretches, and then you have to go do investigation. So that. He saw it as an unfairness, but I saw it as an opportunity to show guys that you can do the switch.
Yeah.
Or it is possible for you to do both if you set your mind to it. So for me, playing Sundays in front of Boland Sundays was something spectacular.
Yeah, you're going to get into that soon.
So to get to work on Monday, there was no time for work, to be honest, because I have to answer all these questions. How was it to play against the Bulls? Or what was the atmosphere like being on the field with the crowd? So there was no time for work on a Monday. Unfortunately, the cases had to wait. And then Tuesday, I would resume with my normal duties as a detective.
Yeah.
So coming in on a Monday, it's first we got a bit of a debrief, okay? All the detective constables. Sit, guys, we're quickly talking Boland Rugby.
Yeah, so some of the support staff or the guys working in the CSC with a uniform, they would stop me. And they would say or ask me, how was it? How was the contact? How's the physicality?
Yeah.
What's the tempo of the game like? The supporters were so all over you after the game. What's that like? So just leaving Rudy's conversation, walking 10 steps on, then I get another person.
Yeah.
So just stopping at work, getting to my office is almost an half an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the people were quite excited. Some of them, you know, in the Boland area, there's a lot of province supporters and there's a lot of Blue Bull supporters. But they said in Currie Cup, they are Boland now.
Yeah.
Only in URC, there will be Blue Bulls or Stormers, but in Currie Cup, they are Boland now.
I like that.
Sure. Huh? Sure.
But if you think about it, right, when you were still playing, would you be able to do what Thurlow is doing?
No. Because I mean, rugby is already a full-time job. To do both of them into balance, both of them is incredible. Yeah. But talk us through the plan of, not the plan, but the work experience. Are you in office most of the time? Are you out there? Because it's obviously a danger job.
Yeah, so because the police identified it as a danger, back in the day, the detective had to go and fetch his suspect on his own. But now we have this arranged tracing operations where we do it once a week. So you do your investigation, and when you link the suspect positively to the offense that they committed, then maybe, let's say, example, we would go out on Wednesdays. So all the detectives, they would be done with the investigation, and then they would go to the address and go and look for the suspect. So we would be like maybe 8 detectives, and then we would have a couple of uniform members with the visible policing marked vehicle going with us. So now, instead of being 1 and 2 with you and your partner, now you have 8 detectives with 6 uniform members. So it's 14 members. So we are significantly stronger to go out if the community gives us maybe a hard time.
Yeah.
Thurlow, I know this is the movie in me. You do stakeouts, you know, where in the movies where the FBI, they sit in the car, they watch the house, they're on their little laptops with their little binoculars. Any stakeouts that you've done in your life before?
No, look, I don't investigate serious and violent crimes.
Oh.
So there's a department for that. So they wanted to recruit me, but I said, no, wait.
Yeah, Harvey said, no, wait.
Yeah, because I mean, if you investigate murder cases now, that's when things start to get serious.
Yeah.
Because now you need to go and be on the lookout for certain things because you are investigating a murder, how it happened, you need to get witnesses and all those stuff. So luckily I'm not there yet. But I don't know what the future holds or when my rugby career is over, where they might recruit me to.
Yeah. And any incidents where you lock up someone and you're like, can I have a signature, please?
Yeah, that's actually, it happens more often than not.
Really?
Yeah. So I would ask the suspect maybe, look here, what is your name? And then he would say, Rudy Thurlow. Then I'm like, whoa, how do you know my first name? Then he's like, you then the captain of Boland. So, but being the captain of Boland or playing rugby played such a significant role in my day-to-day job because you will find the community getting heated, not always agreeing that we're arresting this person, and then they would scowl at us and they would swear at us, and then some of the boys amongst those people would see me and they would say, yeah, this is Boland's captain. And then he would call the crowd to order because discipline, the captain is here.
Yeah.
And then I would use that as a leeway to help me and my colleagues like to be out of danger.
Yeah.
There was actually this one night we went on an operation. So we were 2 guys and 2 females. Then as we stopped, this guy started to run and we chased him. So my partner went this way and I went that way. My partner caught him, but he ran into a girl who had a baby on her arm.
Oh,
Damn it.
So then we caught him. Then my partner was holding him and asked him, why did you run? Then his father came and wanted to swing because remember, we had civilian clothing on.
Okay.
His father wanted to swing
Interessant.
and I caught his arm. And I told him, wait, sir, we're the police. Then he said, I'm this guy's father. Why are you chasing him? And then when I said we're the police, he
Obviously backed off.
he backed off. But the community went on. And what happened that night is the community went on, outrage started. They started getting angry because why are we taking this guy?
yeah.
Then my partner who chased the guy lost his car key.
Ach, my father.
Now we are in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
People are starting to get aggressive, wanting to attack us. And then these boys saw me. And they're like, no, man, this is the captain. This is our role model. This is our hero. We can't do anything to him. And then the crowd started to
They
silence.
calmed the
Subtle.
silence.
Yeah.
Yo.
Wacht,
Ja,
imagine, but just imagine now Thurlow is talking about chasing the guy. You just at a field session, or you just at a gym in the morning. Now, ice cold in the van.
Yes.
You have to start pulling off.
After ice bath.
Yes, unbelievable.
Yeah, so that is Rudy, because I play rugby, people expect me to chase after every suspect.
Is it you
And
first?
yeah, you go. And then there'll be some of the members will be cheering me on.
No, man.
I knew the captain was gonna catch him. And I also pride myself in that because you see adrenaline takes the suspect and then boom, he goes.
Spoed.
But as long as I can see him, I know I'll catch up with him.
Zijn opponent.
Yeah.
I won't. Because now there's people watching.
Yes.
And I can't fail the
image.
police. The image, yes. So when I catch this guy, people are applauding and clapping
Hey,
hands.
Boland
Saying,
Park.
This is a good policeman.
Yeah.
He's still very fit. So that takes the face of the police. It makes it better.
Wow, yo.
Do you believe, and this might not be a story, but I'm thinking of this now. Do you believe that the fact that you're Boland captain, you're in the police, that you play a dual role model, that you can inspire kids to see that becoming a policeman and doing honorable state job is also a fantastic job to go in, a career that to follow. But now you sit in these 2 worlds where I'm captain of Boland and I'm a policeman. So you inspire kids to become a professional rugby player, but you're also inspiring our community children to become really good policemen and to do an honorable job in our communities and something to strive for.
100%, Rudy. I think not all of us is smart, like textbook smart, academically orientated, but if you want to make an impact on your immediate community, if you want to serve your country, be a patriot, and you are enrolled in the police program, but you're a sportsman as well, the police makes provision for any sport, whether it's chess, whether it's cricket, whether it's athletics, everything sports related, because the top management of the police believes if you are good in sports or if you do sports, you will obviously have to be fit.
Yeah.
And if you are fit, it allows you or it enables you to do your job as a policeman better.
And that also contributes whenever I speak to people in meetings and stuff and they ask why should we get involved with rugby players, I say the one thing rugby teaches us is discipline. And work ethic. And you can carry that from rugby into wherever you are in the workplace. That we work hard, we know how to sacrifice, we know what it takes to play in a team. You working with your colleagues, your counted policemen, us in our environment, working in the media space. So that is the things that rugby does give us an advantage.
And you
in
must
those.
kind of have that balance as well, because you hear a lot of stories of corruption and stuff like that. But you as well, captaining the Boland Cavaliers, you must always stand for something and don't fall for anything, similar to in your workplace as well.
100%. And I mean, having so much pride as a Cavalier, and you know the people of the Boland community are very passionate.
Yes,
And they'll
I
be
can
the
see it.
first to cheer you on, but they'll be the first to take you out also.
Yes.
So having that pride as a rugby player for the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers allows me also to have the same pride when I don't wear uniform anymore, but when I'm at work, I want to be seen as, this is a neat policeman.
Yeah.
He is disciplined. And those are the characteristics that when a young man looks at me, I want him to say, wow, I want to become a policeman one day, or I want to become a professional rugby player.
Yeah, sure. That's powerful.
I love this. I must say, look, Paddy, sitting here and listening to this is such a good view of the police and Boland Cavaliers. And flipping, well done, Boykie, being excellent. And you speak with such confidence and pride, which I like. Because you get people that can speak about certain topics, but their body language and the way they speak about it, you can pick up that guy doesn't believe what he's saying. And detective believes.
Deinzepyn in die oggend, deinzepyn in die aand. Deinzepyn. And especially the people that needs to give you that leave. You spoke about exhausting your leave. Who's those people saying, Mashi, it's fine.
Sure.
Go to Avis.
Juba, I actually have to give a massive shout out to our Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel Koerkop.
Yeah, Koerkop?
Yes, he's actually a big rakker.
I nee. Koerkop?
Koerkop, dankie, Lieutenant.
Yes, okay, thanks for giving us time.
He's a big rakker this morning.
Beautiful.
When I approached him, I said, Colonel, look here, I know I'm on standby today, but I've got this invitation to be on the podcast, and you know we love it so much. And then he said, Marsh, I can't keep this away from you. Now, you give me something to look forward to on Thursday.
Yeah, okay.
Vienna, beautiful.
Shout out to Colonel.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever we have to play away or we have a pro day, Harvey's has a pro day on Tuesdays. So Colonel would say, okay, your leave's finished, but come work on Sunday for extra hours, and then you can take the rest day on Tuesday, because I don't want you to miss a training.
Wow.
And I mean, with support like that at work, I mean, what is there not that I can achieve?
Colonel, if we can repay the 2 or 3 hours that is missing, maybe me and Juan can come to the station and follow him and see if we can survive 3 hours as detectives.
100%, yeah. And if you're a nice guy, you might sit in that chair, okay? But let's talk about Sundays, man. Boland Sundays, especially in the Currie Cup as well. I mean, speak about the SA Cup to qualify for the Currie Cup as well, and speak about that, you know, getting through qualifying as well, and also the Sundays on Boland Stadium.
Okay, so Juba, Coach Harvey's told us that we have a tendency of making things difficult for ourselves. We went to play against the Griquas in Kimberley. We had a comfortable lead, and then Ashland got a yellow card, and then it was repeated infringement after that, and I got a yellow card. So we had a 10-point lead, but eventually we lost the game, but Ludio scored the bonus point try. So we got 2 points from that game. So we went on, we had to play EP in PE, a qualifying match. So that was basically a quarterfinal. And we beat them, we got the bonus point, and then we went on to the semi-final. So last year, and this is the growth that I would like people to see when they look at the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers. Last year in the SA Cup, we played the Pumas for the first time in Umbombela. Now, there's a lot of us that has never played there before. You come, you look at this facility, and you're like, wow. So we lost 49-0. This year we played the Pumas on Boland Stadium. We lost with 2 points.
Yes.
We went on to the semi-final and we lost with 2 points again. But we already qualified for the Currie Cup. We made top 4. Then came the Currie Cup. It was the first Boland Sunday playing against the Cheetahs on Boland Stadium. So we have Coach Charles Strydom there with his experience at the Cheetahs, with Coach Harvey's there, and we've beat them before. So now we're playing the Cheetahs. And this is where the 80 minute is te min.
Yeah.
The revelation of it came into play. We were in the 88th minute, and Mossy gave this cross kick to Xavier Mitchell. He offloaded it to Donovan Don.
Beautiful.
And the crowd goes wild. So that is where we installed a different type of belief in our team. And we played against the Griquas away the week after that, and we lost. We were at a quite 14, 15-point lead, and then we lost. Then we came back home. Then we played the Lions. So now the Lions had all these teams. You know, the Lions is one of the teams, they don't lose a lot of guys to the Springboks.
Yes.
So the same like the Cheetahs, they have the core of their team. Yes.
80%, yeah.
So we beat them 29-10. You saw the people run onto the field.
You guys started getting belief.
A different belief. We had belief, but now we have belief.
It is possible.
It's possible. Then the week after was probably the highlight of my career. We were hosting the Blue Bulls.
Yeah, and that's a big one.
Yes.
Everyone believes in the...
I think that...
Yeah.
So I think by the Tuesday already, sold out.
Yeah.
My phone has never been so full of messages for tickets. And I'm like, Coach Porter made the example. He's like, I don't even know a lot of people here. I walk to Checkers, people ask me for tickets. I say, no, man, I don't work at the ticket office, I coach. So that Sunday against the Blue Bulls. So they had a couple of Springboks with Marvin Ori, Api with Yancy being there. And I think that fueled the fire of us even more. With a sold-out stadium and everything that went with it, I think that was the highlight of my career, beating the Blue Bulls with a bonus point at home. Sold-out stadium, not giving them 1 point, and I think that just took us.
So talking about that game, partner, when I watched it, it reminded me of 10 years ago when you still went to Boland Stadium as a Bulls team arriving there. People in the street, you know, with the parking.
Yes.
You can't get in with the team bus because the Boland Stadium was packed out every time the Bulls used to play Boland in the Currie Cup there. And it was the same this year, and it was so cool to see. Back then, we still had Neil Papier.
Yeah.
Terrorizing me.
Daniels
They're coming out. So, look, and reflecting on the Boland season from my perspective, I love the fact that the team connected with the community. Irrespective of the results on the field. It was the fact that I could see the community and what our community stands for in the Boland team and the way they played. They played with that passion, that the way they could literally see the brand that they're playing with is what our community stands for, man. We don't give up. We believe in ourselves. We work hard as our communities. And that is the thing that I love from you guys throughout the season.
No, I think because the community is so passionate, and look, if you ask all these people in the Boland to select a team, they would have different teams.
15.
You see, because they believe in their players so much. And we played so well. We played in such a way that we converted them. You know, people would support maybe Roses United, but he won't support Boland. Because there is not a lot of Roses representatives. You see, so we converted that. We changed that picture. That people would say, okay, no, regardless if my players are there or not, this team is making an impact on our immediate communities. And that is what our president always says it, Wombeni, hope. Now, people, he says people uses the word hope lightly. But I think that is what the Cavaliers achieved this year. And for me, being at the front of it as the leader of the team, getting messages from our sponsors at Sanlam saying that we are every sponsor's dream. That just was a huge pat on the back for our team, for our squad, saying, okay, look here, what we are doing at the moment is making not only sponsors happy, but the broader Boland community. It gives them something to look out for. And your people were so gutted that we just missed out on a home semi-final. Because people were planning the Boland Sunday. I asked some people that I know, don't you work tomorrow?
Yeah.
Because the Boland Sunday took you
to the next level.
to the next level.
Do you think Boland should play on Sundays from now on in the future? I'm saying,
if
obviously the
possible.
Boland Sunday thing started and it's a massive success. Looking at the future revenue-based, how the franchise can make money. Also, Sundays, there's not a lot of rugby on. You don't compete with the clubs locally. Do you think Boland Sundays should be a set thing moving forward?
Stick to what works. And that was the most important thing, is about the club rugby on Saturdays. And the club rugby in the Boland, we'll speak about it now. It's so strong that you actually give a full potential to Boland on a Sunday, which makes it nice.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we were at the airport. I think we played the Sharks. And then our president went with, because he believes he's the luck that we need. And then we got Yusuf of SA Rugby at the airport. And Pres Benny told him unapologetic, look here, Yusuf, when we win the Sharks today, we qualify for a home semi-final. And we want it on a Sunday. Please make that happen. So even our executive management at the union understands it, that the clubs of the Boland are passionate and they will go and support their club on a Saturday. But if the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers play on a Sunday, that's the place to be.
Sure. And it was so close, especially with the Sharks as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, you got 4 games that was actually 88 minutes.
Yeah, so the Sharks game, I think we let that one slip.
Yeah, it's you
But
guys had it.
We had it. But we will take all the learnings from this season. I think this is the foundation to Cornel, the late Cornel Hendricks always said that he learned from Brian Urbana that you must leave the jersey in a better place that you found it. And I think this was the foundation of that. So all the Cavaliers coming in and taking the jersey further will build on the success that we achieved this year. So we made the semi-finals. We got a hiding in the semi-finals. But like I told you earlier, last year we lost against the Pumas 49-0. This year we lost against them with 2 points. And the third time we beat them in the Currie Cup.
In Mbombela.
At Mbombela. So that is the type of growth that we want to see. This year, Coach Harvey's told us that we need 20 points at least to qualify for the semi-final. And I think we stunned everyone to such an extent that playing Province the last game, we could have ended top of the log and gotten a home semi-final and potentially a home final. But I'm a firm believer that whatever is for you won't miss you. And if it misses you, it was never for you.
Damn it. Boss!
Yo, that's right, he's the captain, eh?
Yeah.
Captain Courageous.
But we don't have to speak long. I think that was a compliment to you guys. The fact that the last game, the Stormers threw their full URC team at you guys at home. I think that is the biggest compliment for what you guys achieved in this Currie Cup.
Definitely. And I'm telling people now that the Stormers are unbeaten this far in the URC. And we played against those guys. I mean, they haven't in 2 games, I think they haven't conceded any points.
Donuts.
So for the Sanlam Boland Cavaliers playing against those guys at the DHL, 3 or 4 tries that could have easily gone our way, being denied. 8-7 up at halftime. And then I think it's just the experience, the conditioning in terms of physicality that carried them through the last 30 minutes. But like you say, Rudy, we take it as a massive compliment. But those are the standards.
Yes.
Those are the guys that you want to compete with.
Yes.
I mean, Dion is still 37 or there around. And I mean, still doing what he does. I'm 32. I mean, 5 years still to go. It is possible if you apply your mind or set your mind and goals to it.
Yeah. And especially speaking about Dion Fourie, that moment as well.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, he's played his 100th game, you going into the change room and giving those messages, saying, listen here, obviously the game happened today, but there's also people here that's inspired to be part of the blue and white hoops. That special moment, whose initiative was that?
Okay, so I think it was our management, our marketing management. They pulled me aside and they said, look here, we want you to hand this over. So it was unplanned.
Okay.
We want you to hand this over. It is a gift from us to Dion and for the role and the impact he has made. So I went into Juba, so now I'm coming into this Stormer cloakroom. Yes, guys that before playing against them, I've only seen them on TV. The Evans and the Marcells. And now I'm standing there. They are still busy with their post-match things and I'm waiting. Now it's this pressure building.
Yeah. Your words, you
awkward,
the
quietness.
The words are going. And then Dobbo called me closer and then here I am now. And at that stage, it just came because it was in my heart.
Yeah.
And like I told the story there to the guys that Coach Potter asked us that week, do you have role models there? Do you have heroes there? And then Dayan van der Westhuizen said yes.
Brady?
I love Dion Fourie. He's my hero. And I mean, I had to tell Dion that from our perspective, still playing against you, there are guys that still admires what you do. And you are the one name that came up, but I mean, there's a lot of other Stormers guys. You are representing our region. You are representing the Western Cape. And I mean, yes, there are a couple of Blue Bull supporters, guys that played there as well. But in terms of you being so close to home, I mean, we call you our heroes and you are our seniors in taking and making the example of it.
Yes,
it was powerful.
And powerful. And now we sit here, Ruckus, and he's talking fluently. He speaks with confidence. He's proud, fantastic captain. I want to know the journey to get here. Where did Thello Maas grow up? What was the childhood like? rugby where it started, the love for the game, the challenges that Thurlow Mars, obviously now you're reaping the rewards. But what was the challenges until this point where you're sitting as captain, detective, all the nice things? What was your journey like?
Yeah, Paisy, that's a good question. So for me, it started, I was not rugby orientated. I was academically very strong. So I was head boy in my primary school.
Makes sense now. Okay.
Everything comes together
Everything
now.
makes sense now.
So I played Boland under 12 soccer. So we played the Goodwill games in Atlantis. And I still scored a goal against Province. But I quickly realized that soccer is not it in Wellington or in the Boland for that matter. So I went to play rugby. Then I went to high school under 14. So now...
Bergrivier.
Bergrivier,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
In my grade, we had 10 classes. We had 8
Just
J. And there was at least 40 kids in the class. So imagine how the trials looked. So now I'm at the trials, being this skinny, short guy. I had no length. I was short. Checking out the line. So all the props, hookers,
Yes.
still number 15, were sitting in a line. And I'm thinking, okay, there's only 3 number 9s. But then there was this other guy, Brendan, he was really good.
Brendan?
So, Brendan Fortuin.
Oh, okay.
He was really good. He was coming from one of the farms there. And you know, those guys have grit. They know of hard work. They know to give it their all. And I, every week, played 3 or 5 minutes. 7 at most. Then this one day, my dad wrote a letter to Mr. Hendrik Lefleur, telling him, look here, my child has been supporting all of the functions. He's paid his bus fee. He's always at training. Why do you never play him? Then, in the derby, we won 52-0. And you know, the band and everything is on Boland Stadium. Brendan is dancing.
Hey, het gaat lekker.
And the clock is almost at its end. Eventually, I got 3 minutes, but the team won. And I was happy. I told my dad, no, look here, we won 52-0. And I'm happy. Under 16, boom, I got length. Now, one of the guys left our school. Then there's a lock.
A lot of
coach.
I'm like, Mr. Lefleur, so he went with the team. I said, put me there. Then I started playing for Newton's Rugby Club. So at 16 now I always had this leadership abilities. So, and I was smarter than the average guy, rugby player. You know, rugby guys are not smart. But if the coach explained something, I would be quick to catch it on. So when it comes to execution, I knew what to do because I understood what he expected. So I went to go play for Newton's Rugby Club, and at the age of 16, I made my debut in the first team against Citrusdal.
Lock or flank now?
No, lock.
Lock, okay.
Still weighing 62 kg. First team. But that time, Newton's played in the President's League, so it was the third league. At Citrusdal, we need 4 tries, bonus point, to go to the...
Second.
No, to the top 12, like we know it now. But it was top 8 that time. PJ, I throw an intercept pass on the attack, on their 5. The hooker intercepts. And you know, club rugby in Boland.
I escape.
No one could catch that hooker. The hooker scores. We eventually lost the game, and now I'm crying. Like, I threw that pass. And Coach Reggie Manuel, I have to give him a massive shout out. He came up to me and he said, look here, you played well today. One bad thing can't take away 10 good things that you did. Chin up, boy. So that stuck with me. So at 18, I became the first team captain of Newton's. At 18. This was 1 year after school. I played under 19B at school on the bench for the first team because they were 2 proper locks. But they didn't play club rugby. So at club, I was the captain at 18 years age. Now we're playing against the teams in the Easter tournament. So Boland hosted the Easter tournament. And in the semi-final, we played the mighty Saldanha. We beat them 12-7. Then we went on to play the final against Roses United. We lost, I think, 22-27 in the final. I got player of the tournament. So I injured my shoulder in the final, but I got player of the tournament. And while Mr. Francois Davids, and this is my rugby father, while he's handing me the player of the tournament award, he tells me, now you must come and play for Roses. Because Roses was in the Premier League, that is where most of the guys were spotted to play for Boland.
Yes.
Whether it's age groups or for the Cavaliers, but it came from the Premier League.
Yeah, he saw something for you to go to the next level.
To go to the next level. So I went to Roses the same year, played Boland under 19, and after that I got a contract by the Saru Boland Academy. So that was game-changing for me because now we had chefs that prepared food. We were training in the morning. Barry McDonald was our manager.
Yes.
Stanley Robenheimer was our coach. Graham Bench.
Yes, conditioner.
Conditioning. He was in 2013, and then Jacques de Toy, who is the Greek was his SNC now. He was our SNC in 2014. So I mean, these guys knew what they were doing. And in 2015, PJ, I didn't get a senior contract. So my under 21 years were done. I didn't get a senior contract. So then there were guys like Harlan Klaasen, Edwin Sass, Shanae Willemse. Those were my age group, and they got senior contracts. And I was asking myself, and I was having this conversation with God, like, these guys are not better than me. They have more weight than me, but they're not better than me. Why am I not getting a contract? So in 2015 was a almost depressive year for me. I was at home.
Doubting yourself and...
Doubting my abilities and cleaning the house. Now remember in 2011 after school, I was head boy at Bergrivier in 2010. So in 2011 I went to SWAT accounting at CPUT.
Just see.
So now being enrolled in this accountancy program that is so, it's training on its own. Studying accounting is, then I couldn't do both. And I took the rugby path, which I will not advise young rugby players to do. Because once you have that degree, no one can take it away. And that gives you a security to play to the best of your ability.
It frees you up, yeah.
You see, so in 2015, my mom told me, look here, you can't be lying at home like this. You need to get something to do. So I applied to go to the police. And late, I think it was in November, I got a call. You need to go to psychometric in Paul at Allendale Correctional Facility. I went to go right, but I didn't think anything of it. Then they phoned me, I must come for fitness. Now, this is my department.
Yes, yeah, now we talk.
Yes. So I did really well there. I eventually went for the interview. They liked what they saw. And then in 2016, the 1st of March, I was enrolled in the police program at Bishop Lavis Academy. So now this is a different environment for me. I only know rugby. Yeah, I need to drill. Yeah, I need to shoot. Yeah, I need to do fitness.
I was the first time when you shot a gun.
Our trainer was very good, Captain Steinbank. He told us, 5-meter shot, you will miss. Now, you know, us being cocky, say, Captain, it would never happen. Yo, when that first shot went off.
Skouwertjie af.
Yo. No, that's with the R5.
Oh.
But with a 9mm, there's no hole in the target. You're like,
closer.
Where did this projectile go?
In my mind, straight.
In my mind, it went there. Then it went over. Hit the backstop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then the trainer would tell us, no, because you didn't do what you gripped the firearm, and then when you pull the trigger, so you must squeeze the trigger. But you pulled it, and then the shot went up. You see, so you had to learn the stuff, listen to the trainer, do what he said, and then you would be good.
Your personality, are you open to learning?
100%.
Okay.
100%. And because I grasp things quicker, it at the end of the day gives me an advantage to either manipulate it or change it in a way that it could best benefit me. Not the shooting now, but when I'm learning something new from someone, or let's say Coach Harvey gives this play that he wants us to execute, I would know, I'm a number 8, but I would know where the prop must be as well. So
full understanding
of the picture. So coming in the game and someone was late to that breakdown or we had a turnover there, I would know like the prop wasn't there where he's supposed to. So for me, I'm always open to learning.
Yeah. And listening is a skill as well.
Yes.
To take it all in, obviously, what coaches want from you. I mean, Rugby Academy, Police Academy. Huh?
I find it fascinating, partner, sitting here and listening to him and how he dealt with the fact that he didn't get a contract and then studying accounting. That wasn't for me because I wanted to be rugby, making that hard decision and now having the ability to sit here as a 32-year-old saying it was maybe a wrong decision not getting my degree and rugby players shouldn't do that. I found it very fascinating and I might be speaking out of my loose term, Ruckus. You guys know me, die tong is altyd my sterkpuntie. But this is the type of person I would want to see in not now, in the next 5 years, but after 10 years, sitting in higher ups of our police, having a leadership role, making decisions that influence the way my kids in the country that we obviously prideful in. That is the type of person I would like to have a higher position in the police because he's got his values right, he's made the right learnings, and he's got an ability to learn, which means he's not a selfish decision maker. Is that the right way to put it?
Yeah.
You're not a selfish decision maker because you always value input from other people. Damn it, ek is alweer op 'n rent. I put it on his life that post-rugby that I think we need people in higher positions that lead with the right intentions.
100% Paige. I couldn't have said it any better. I mean, people have this narrative of our police, and it is so that the bad always gets highlighted, and the bad always gets all this credit. And now I'm one story maybe that goes viral, but I mean, there's a lot of other stories of quality policemen. I mean, that doesn't get the same kind of attention. So I mean, if we could shine the light on those members more, it would inspire more. But instead, media focuses on the negative.
Yeah, sure.
Ruckus, we don't just talk rugby. We've covered today a bit of police and everything. But I want to touch something before we say goodbye to Thurlow. Something that I don't know a lot of. I see it via social media. My team is Heidelberg Rugby Club. We lost the 4th consecutive final this past weekend in the Premier League of SWD. So I'm hurting Ruckus, okay, my town. But I want to quickly talk about club rugby in the Boland.
Yeah.
The role that it plays within the community and the fact that it is so powerful. The top 12 is currently underway, am I right?
Yes.
The power of club rugby in the Boland communities, boys.
Yeah. No, it's strong. I mean, it's 220 clubs in the region, so it's one of the biggest in South Africa. Very powerful.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think, and I've said it years back, when I was fortunate to be amongst a group of guys that were enrolled in the SARO Boland Academy. So it was funded by SARO. But I've been saying since that time in 2013 that there's nowhere else in the world you'd get so much talent than in the Boland. The only thing that we lack is conditioning.
Yes.
So luckily for me, I had 2 years in this program, 2013 and 2014, working with Ben's Conditioning and Jockey with their programs. And it helped me a lot. So if the union can get a facility where the talented group of players can only be conditioned, because I mean the talent will always be there, but if you give them, if you make them strong, if you make them fitter, if you make them faster, then their game can only excel. And the Boland Club Rugby, looking at from an outside now, it has evolved so much. I told Johan, I think the last time I spoke at the launch of the Top 12, back when I still played in 2018, it wasn't this big. I mean, being kitted out fully.
Yes.
Do they get kit? Does the team get full kitted?
Yeah,
full kit.
Oh, wow.
Top 12 gives you the jerseys and stuff. And
the jersey, the shorty, the socks, the warm-up shirt, everything.
Oh, wow.
Then they still give you your club 200 replicas to either sell it or give it away to their supporters. But I mean, there's so much sponsors. And I mean, the way the game has grew. Né? In Boland Club Rugby, like I saw a post this weekend that over 2,000 kilometers has been traveled amongst clubs. So if you check in the next couple of weeks, Bodrivier will come to Wellington. That is almost a 3-hour drive. Vredenburg will maybe go to Bodrivier. It's a 3-hour plus drive. Saldanha must go to Robertson. 3 hours
long.
Plus.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's where the borders of this union go. And I mean, the way the top 12 has grew, I would like those clubs. Johan said 220. Now imagine 220 clubs, fairly the biggest in the world in my opinion, getting in behind our senior team.
Oh, power.
And in a couple of years, I might not be there yet, but that is the one dream that I still have, that all of these clubs root for the players that's been selected. Whether your player is there or not.
Yeah.
I mean, the Boland is 220 plus clubs, over 15,000 players. and Coach Harvey's can only have a squad of 40.
Yeah.
I
What
mean,
more,
we have to be realistic. Not everyone's going to make it. Not everyone will be Springboks, but it doesn't mean I won't support the Springboks and what they are doing.
Love it.
So the same for the Boland. If that passionate community can get in behind our team, I mean,
It's about the ecosystem more than obviously the one brand.
yes, definitely. You see, and the thing is, if that club players can work on their conditioning, like that was one work on for me, being 62, 65 kgs, and I'm still not the biggest of loose forwards, like Ari Savia and Henry Pollock. Those are the guys that I look at. But I watched a podcast once of Damien Willemse, and he said there, what is your point of difference?
Unique selling point, wanneer.
You see, so I took that to me, and my leadership is one of my biggest attributes. Like, I might not be the best player, but I know how to get the best out of the players around me. And that automatically gets me up and makes me look better.
But it's a skill.
It's a skill.
Everybody has different skills.
Yeah.
That's a skill.
100%. And with that skill, hard work is a talent that not all guys possess.
Yes.
You see, so you can have all the talent and ability in the world, but if you are not willing to work hard with it, you're just going to reach a level and you won't excel any further.
It beats the talent, yeah. And it's funny you say it because I obviously said it as well. Like the Boland is a natural rugby academy. If you look at the talent, if you look at the players that's actually in the other unions as well, that's coming from here. I mean, recently now with Chesson Jooste as well,
Hy klink warm.
and all these type
Eerder.
of things. But you said conditioning is the most important thing because I'm obviously part of the junior structures and you can see the difference in terms of structure and where we're going through. And if you look at Western Province with all the big schools as well, they do have the gyms and the facilities. They can teach people and youngsters from a younger age, 14, 15, how to clean, how to power clean. It makes a massive difference when it comes to like senior rugby. And you don't have that gap in between. That makes a massive difference. Yes, we got our challenges of, going to borders because we're 3 hours away. And I felt it as well, which is our challenges. But if you can get these people together and making sure that they come to a current situation, that they're well equipped in terms of education, first of all, but also learning to look after themselves to get a longevity of a career.
Definitely. And like I said earlier, not all of us are academically orientated. So if this guy made that decision from a young age that he wants to be a professional rugby player, I actually watched the podcast when Sasha was here. And I mean, there was no other thing in his mind that he wanted to do, but he had the backing. So if the Boland structures can give that backing to a player that says, okay, look here, I have the ability. I want to work hard, put me in the structure, give me the conditioning and all the other technicalities of the game to make me better, then I think we should go that route.
Yeah, 100%.
Love it, boykies.
Looks like he's talking to me, eh?
I know.
Yeah.
I quickly want to get a prediction. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot.
you like
And
to
I'll
put me
go
on the
with my own team. Who's going to win the top 12 in Boland this year?
Yeah. He's
Yes,
trying
we
to
got to
make
do
it.
it. We're a podcast where rugby so say it with our gut.
So, Paige, that's a very interesting question because a media house asked me a couple of weeks back and I
Yes.
said, without a doubt, Roses. And I'm still standing firm on that point, Roses United, because everyone wrote us off now after the first week.
Okay.
Vredenburg came
Yeah, the first 20 minutes,
Yeah, they
scored in
ca-
the first 2 minutes.
two
Yeah.
tries in the first 3 minutes. So eventually, the character of the team pulled us through. I think we won 33-32 with 1 point. And now a lot of spectators want to come in and select this team and that one must be out. And
Yes, let the coaches coach.
coach is coach. So I went to a leadership meeting of Roses last night. And I told them, look here, boys, it was our off day.
Yeah.
We don't have to throw the bath with the baby out the window, reinvent everything. No, we're an off day. That's it. Flush this game as soon as possible, and then we prepare for Worcester Villages.
Memory like a goldfish.
Yeah.
Yes, gone.
Weg is
So
hy.
Roses United.
Roses, you party?
I'm also Roses United. Reason for 22 games, 22 victories, 22 bonus points. Huh?
Sissy,
Records.
okay.
Huh? And also because my assistant coach said, Brandon April, okay, fantastic work.
Roses.
Yes.
I'm going to go because I've got no clue about the club rugby system in Boland. I'm going to only
Pinky,
say this
ponky.
one. No, Robertson Town.
Yeah, not
Because
bad.
my cousin, my neef, is the lock at Town's first team. Eugen Meyers, big shout out to our pages.
Yeah, and
playing
Jan
for
van der
Robert.
Walt as well. So we want the word of the day.
Word of the day? I don't believe in word of the day. I've got too much to say. But Robertson Town, they almost beat College Rovers.
Yeah, well
in
done.
the Gold Cup. They were very close, and they had the Saturday game also in the top 12.
Sunday
So that's why
game,
I'm going to go with Robertson Town to take the top 12. So
No,
let's
fantastic
see,
work,
Rakas,
yeah.
drop your comments below and we fight it out.
Yeah. Yo, Marcy, Telo, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
man. It's
man.
lekker to catch up with you. I mean, you are the DNA of when it comes to Boland rugby. So when I say Boland Goat, you are obviously part of it. I mean, you were in the dark days when it was still trying to get us through. You and a lot of other guys as well, Cornel Hendricks as well. He's got his photo here as well. And he was also a pinnacle when he came back. It was his dream to be part of the Currie Cup and see these youngsters grow. And I mean, me and he grew up as well, 88 babies in the junior structures to see the opportunities that he didn't get, that I get. We wanted to give it to the Boland community. And you inspired not from the rugby department, but also from police department as well. So we're super excited to have you here. Thanks for making the time and inspiring not only us today, but also the community of Boland.
Yeah, I think it's cool to learn. And I think this show has given us a platform that we're always learning. And today I've learned a lot from you. And all the best with Boland, your career as a policeman also. And thank you for watching our show. Thank you for supporting. Lieutenant, is it Lieutenant?
Yes.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Lieutenant Colonel,
Colonel.
thank you for sharing Thurlow with us today. And I hope the Rakas enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and all of the best with what the future holds for you guys.
No, I appreciate it, man. Hey, guys. Telo mas.
Love it.
Sure. Powerful, powerful. My mond het op die grond gehang. Huh?
Oh wow, just he sounds like a head boy.
Yeah,
you
yes, you can see
can
it.
the way he speaks and conducts himself. Excellent chat with one of
Sure.
a stalwart in South African rugby.
100%, yeah. In Boland rugby as well. He's one of the goats. He's the core and the DNA from where Boland is at the moment. I mean, what he does on the field and off the field as well. Police Academy is danger pay. Huh?
No, excellent. He was Henry Duplessis before him. Now it's Thurlow Maas, Boland rugby in really good hands.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and the way he thinks about the game and also the development, the way the Boland is going is fantastic to see. Yeah, so lekker to have the boy on board. Eh?
Beautiful, and he's a rakker, and hopefully
Yes,
the station,
yes.
you guys enjoyed that, and you are proud of your colleague.
Yeah.
And now we share with everyone. Okay, if you love what you guys have just witnessed with Thurlow Maas,
Yes.
I encourage you to hit the subscribe button absolutely for free. Okay,
Yeah.
smashing subscribe absolutely free. If you love our content, it allows us to do more better and go to Antarctica.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. While you're on like, share, and subscribe, let's share the results of week 3 when it comes to URC. It's Scarlets 0, Stormers 34. On Friday and Saturday, it was the Benetton 41-15 Lions, Leinster 31-5, the Sharkies, Ulster 28-7. Bulls. No, I don't know why.
Why you?
I was just swallowing
Okay,
there.
lekker,
It took me
lekker.
a time to get there. But the week 3 results, obviously the Stormers on the roll. I mean, they gave Scarlets a 0. They gave Leinster a 0. And it was good to see some of the Springboks coming back as well. I mean, even Roos being man of the match, he played an incredible game. Shasha Feinberg and Komazulu coming back with Damien Willems as well, finding a little bit of a groove. But yeah, Stormers rugby, once the set piece is strong and defense is strong,
Yes.
zij gaan met hom.
Okay. I must say, I'm quite happy about, and the Stormers were excellent. I'm happy about the fact that Imad Khan is finally getting a look in. Obviously, they were holding on
You spoke
to
about
Deval
it,
Dievenage for long, and that allows that young kids not to develop.
Yeah.
So they obviously, so for me, I'm very happy that obviously,
Got a
I don't know if
couple
they
of
moved
minutes.
on from Dewald yet, but giving Imad Khan that necessary exposure, necessary game time at URC level is massively important for that young man's growth.
100%,
He
yeah.
represents South Africa under 20 levels. He's a really good talent, and now we need him to play a lot of rugby.
100%, yeah. And I mean, we've obviously got Dewald on the older side with a couple of milestones, but Kobus Reinhardt has signed as well. That's also coming back. So there's a lot of them. Assad Moot as well. Moos as well. He's one of the options. Imad Khan, good to see scoring a try as well. I haven't played in a very, very long time. But yeah, it's having that balance of junior rugby and senior rugby and combine it to look after the future.
That's the tough part. They're carrying 3 scrum-halves over 30 years old at the moment. So the development with that, it will be the trick for them. Having 3 scrum-halves over 30 years old, and how they're going to blend the youngsters. And where is the talent going if they're not getting ample game time?
Yeah.
Are we losing the talent to the system? Will the talent be able to come through? And that's the tough part about being coaches and so on.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a tough one. And I mean, the Storm has got to be a tough outing with a couple of games coming up. We'll speak about the fixtures as well. But yeah, if we move on to Saturday, tough results for South African rugby.
Oof.
Huh?
The Leinster
Lions,
game,
Sharks,
Lions
Bulls,
got a hiding.
all.
The Lions are in trouble, partner. I don't know how you feel about it. They don't have any Springboks currently playing for them. Where are they as a union in your mind? What are they doing wrong? How can they fix it as a company, not just as a team?
Yeah, I mean, you spoke it as well. I mean, the junior structures, a lot of focus is going into the junior structures, trying to get them to the senior level, but they never get to the senior level at all. You don't see, yes, you get, Hashim Piet is getting a couple of opportunities as well, but you know, guys like Eto'o van der Merwe that's moved on, they've got Angelo Davids, it's going to take a little bit of time to get into the swing of things. They got a massive injury with Krappie as well, massive injury. That's going to hammer them a little bit in the long run. But yeah, it's tough to go from a Currie Cup season. Obviously, they had a pre-season Currie Cup season, but take that result, what happened in the final, back-to-back, obviously this time around, take it into the season was always going to be a tough one, especially when you have to go first couple of games away from home.
I felt like they had Cardiff that was winnable on tour. They obviously had Zebre, and now Benetton. So, look, and they finished last season poorly as well. The last URC campaign that they went into the off-season with. So, it's not looking great for the Lions at the moment.
Second last on the table as well.
They need to, I don't know if they do go and contract 2 or 3 Springboks, throw some money at them to get some older statesmen in the squad. They've got brilliant young players. That is something I'll never question them about. The ability to scout and to find the right players. Hashim Piet, give him a little bit more game time now.
Batu coming back.
Batu's coming to them. So there's a lot of things in the Lions that I think might need to change, Parry.
But off the field, when you look at the stadium, when you look at what's happening there, they don't get enough crowd to get money, to get better players.
But look, I don't think the Lions has ever been based on making their monies through ticket sales. They sit in the capital hub of South Africa in Johannesburg, where the financial stronghold is, obviously. So it is, and that is the thing for me. What do they do? How do they fix it? Do you move away from Ellis Park? I don't know. It's
the history.
That's the beautiful stadium.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How do you
can't pick it up like that.
No, you can't. Hij bietjie te zwaar. Bietjie te zwaar. But a tough result for them. Taking a 40 against Benetton. Really tough. Luckily, they're playing Scarlets at home this weekend.
Don't understand Scarlets. But yeah, we'll see what's going to happen with coming to the fixtures. But the Sharkies, I knew Leinster's going to stand up. They obviously started a couple of these bad boys that played Britain Irish Lions. They got a rest. They're back at home now. And obviously a couple of weeks ago, I predicted that Leinster is going back-to-back for this season.
Okay.
Looking at what they had last weekend, what they're building at the moment. Rieke Johan is also joining them soon. So they're building something and they're going to go on a run now. And they were hurting. To get a 0, obviously, in Cape Town, to struggle a little bit against the Bulls as well. I knew the backlash is going to come, and the backlash unlucky came onto the Sharks.
Die zaak is het te krijgen.
Hij had het gekregen.
A backhand.
Yeah, a backhand. It's always a tough one, especially when you play in Ireland. And it wasn't a bad team when it came to the Sharkies.
No, not at all, partner.
It's Springboks everywhere. The Chuka brothers, a quality.
Vincent Koch.
Yeah, but
Bongi coming off the bench. Jaden Hendricks, maar Pimpie. Eto'o van der Merwe. Lucanio Am. Francois Venter, also a Springbok.
Yeah.
Siamasuku.
Concerns for me is how they balance the squad. A lot of big names. Eto'o van der Merwe haven't played 15 for years. You've got at 12 the best 13. Lucanio Am is playing 12. You got at 13, it's at number 13, the boogeyman as well. Ethan Hooker, yes, he played well in the wing as well.
But he's a 13.
He's a 13 preferred position. So sitting with 3 13s in 12, 13, 14. You got a 15 at the back. That's
a wing.
That's a wing. You've got a 9 that's obviously lacking a little bit of, I don't know if it's confidence or opportunity. And then you got the young 10. The guy that's gluing the forwards in the back.
So you're saying that mixture somehow is not looking lekker?
I don't know if it's the mixture of the players. I don't know if it's the coaching. I don't know if it's the game plan. But what they have, the names on the paper, it doesn't
It's good enough.
It doesn't correspond with the results.
Agree.
And now they're coming back home. Yes, it's tough at home. Let's give credit where credit is due. It is tough at home. 3 weeks away, especially your first 3 games as well. But you can't net start maak op die bokke nie, because they're coming back to Durban, and then Siawa is going to play, Eben is going to play. But then also looking at the Springboks, the boys are always also tired.
Hulle moet korte break.
I don't even know if you saw it in a couple of these games, especially the Stormers, the boys from England, Twickenham, straight into the squad. Mentally, do you want to? Because in 2 weeks' time, you're going end of year tour again. You're going back home and you have to come back again. Guys like Shashack, guys like Damian Willems.
But you know me, I think some of our top Springboks should play 4 to 5 URC games for the season.
But the URC's coaches won't like it. If I'm Dobbo and I'm Plum,
you soek jou man.
Ek soek my man. I pay him 6 million, 5 million. So I don't know what it is.
You're the partner in the bankrekening.
Salaries, I'm sorry. That's the rumors I heard somewhere. But if they get this type of money, obviously you're going to be like, I pay them this type of money. They can't play 4 games a year for me with that type of quality.
Not 4 games of the year. I'm saying 4 games URC. I would like them to play all of the Investec Champions Cup games over December in January. But this Zeebrugge games and playing against Scarlets at home and playing when Scarlets and those players are not even sending their strongest, don't pick the boys. Yeah. Let them rest. Let them go to Langebaan. If they want to go to Mauritius for club, let them recharge their batteries like a Tesla who's charging at a mall. Laat die man hulle batterye vol maak.
Maar is moeilijk.
2 concerns
it's a win-win
from
situation.
Page's side. And it's both the Sharks and the Bulls. Is the attack. I don't know what our attack looks like for the Bulls. Don't laugh.
No. I'm getting a question.
I don't know what our attack like. It feels to me like it's passed the ball to the best player on the team.
Yeah, and see what happens.
And see what happens.
You can look at other, not other teams, but if you look at the synergy of Leinster as well. Yes, it's senior players.
You can see the playing partner.
But I think it's also, I don't know the buy-in, but it's also a buy-in to the plan as well. It's always tough, and I'm talking from experience as well. When you come from a winning culture like the Springboks and whatever the case may be, and you go to the club, some of these experienced players come to the club and be like, it works here, why don't we try it here? And if you fall for something and don't stand for anything, it can create a cancer. But I'm not saying what it is, I'm just talking from experience. It looks to me like the buy-in, first of all, how we want to play, and the change of how we want to play. So if we change one player, 95% of the time, sometimes that player, because of his thinking, can change the development and the structure of the squad. For instance, if you 2 different tents, Andre Pollard and Goosen, it's 2 different tents. The one, the whole forward pack for years knew now, we're running the thing. Now Polly's maybe slowing it down a bit. They've got a different type of thinking. These type of things makes a massive a knock-on effect to what the teams are going, but I still can't put my finger on what's going on. But I understand your concern.
Look, my concern with the Bulls last year was defensively. Obviously, we always leaked tries, and that cost us in the final against Leinster, obviously, at Croke Park. This, again, our defense, are we a team that comes off the line, that defends with a high line, that presses team into mistakes? Are we soft, up and out, using the touchline as an extra defender? Attacking-wise, what are we like? Are we playing width? Are we playing sideline to sideline? Or are we playing through the middle of the field? But at the moment, we're going to the set piece where Wilco Low dominates. We're going to our mall where Rowan Nortje and them dominates. But we don't have an attacking identity. It's play one long pass from 9 to the forwards, Kes, Kerry, try and bash, and then we see what happens. So
is the Bulls back at the Rassie ball?
I don't think we've ever moved away.
What Goosen, wasn't it more of a, let's move the ball around, let's get into space.
I don't think it was the Bulls' identity, that's Goosen's identity. It's Goose East by nature.
But it looked like, if you look at the Bulls, how they were playing, it looked like they were giving the ball a little bit more width. Because they're not getting width at the moment. Yes, with Kurtley Arends and these type of wingers that finished a lot. Now, it looked like this past weekend, I don't even know if the boys touched the ball at the end.
We did, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it was a Polly thing. It was last season also. I couldn't pick up the way we played. We're very lucky. We have Willie that creates tries off his natural creating ability, but I can't see the way we play. We create tries with a cross kick, but that is instinctive player. I just don't see like Leinster. You can see they play on top of you. That is their attacking identity. You with me? Franco Smith with Glasgow. They play with quickness, keeping the ball alive. The same with Toulouse. You can pick up these way of strategies that they implement, they're attacking. With the Bulls at the moment, I can't see it. The same with the Sharkies. I can't see it. And especially when those Springboks are away, then I can't see what type of play are we implementing. And that is my concern at the moment. Hopefully we'll fix it this upcoming weekend against Connacht.
But I've got one question for you as well. Yes, we've got the squad as well. You've got Namalekkers at the Bulls. You've got guys like Foster. You've got guys like Jan Serfontein that is playing 12. Quality outfits, who do you play? David Kriel at the 13. Goosen there, not Goosen, Gansi there as well in the centers. There's so much quality. Who do you play and who's your first choice? Because it looks to me like at the moment, you guys don't know who's your first choice. Who's your first choice nines? Why is Zach playing maybe? If Ambrose is the one, then he must play. And who's the second best option? Is it Keegan? Is it Zaki? Is it whoever it might be? Paul de Vet is there as well. If you have to play finals, continuity is also a big thing. I'm asking you.
I like the fact that they're changing the team. Because Ambrose played too many minutes last year. And it ended up costing him having an injury in the playoff stages of the thing. So changing our squads, having a full year-round season, I don't mind that. I just want to see consistency in the way we play. Having inconsistency in team selections, no issue with that because the season is too long. There's too much rugby. The RC is too long and stretched over a full year. So the selection can have inconsistency, swapping players around, but the way we play need to have consistency, buddy, in the way I see it.
And you miss the golden boy, Kurtley Arendse.
No, we definitely miss his X factor. He bailed us out a lot, but hopefully we can see Coach Johan Akki's the way he coached at the Lions, at Gloucester, and obviously in Japan, get implemented where we do throw the ball a little bit around. But it will take time. We have to have patience as Bulls fans with Coach Johan Ackerman.
And there was some good signs as well. Sebastian de Klerk was unbelievable this past weekend. Rudolph as well is doing his thing, physicality when it comes to the number 8 position. So there's some quality. Gumede as well, some quality there. So it's just like you spoke about. It's about, I don't know if it's the buy-in, but the connection in getting the result at the end of the day.
And it's the way we play, and that's obviously Chris Rousseau has been there for a while. What does our attack look like defensively? What does the Bulls' defense look like? And that's the thing, because a lot Akkies has changed, but we still look the same. And I want us to win a final, Ruckus. Man, we've lost 3 finals. Yeah, my heart is seer.
Yeah, we won one. Let's move on to week 4 and the fixtures as well. This weekend coming up from URC. It's Connacht versus the Bulls on Friday, 9:45. Lions versus Scarlets, 2:45. Sharks versus Ulster, 4 o'clock. And Zebra versus Stormers, 9:45. Late games, this 9:45.
So, a lot of rugby.
Quickly, Bulls, Connacht.
Oh, that one is tough. I don't know. Because if Bande Aki plays for Connacht, that changes the complexity. Completely. Hansen plays. I'll go with the Bulls. I believe knowing the Bulls,
they have to bounce back.
They have to bounce back. And the fashion that they lost.
Is the Boks coming back, or are they still going to play this game?
I'm not too sure. I know Polly's coming back home, having a bit of a break. But I'll go with the Boks very close. Connacht is one of the toughest places to play. So I'll go with the Bulls just because I know they would know they have to bounce back.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, backs against the wall. I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to speak about it later. I'm a little bit on the fence here. Okay.
All good.
Lions and Sharkies. Obviously, they're coming back home. Lions, it's a must win 3 away from home. The Sharks as well, 3 away from home. They're coming back home now. The Boks will be back. The Lions don't have Boks, but the Bokkies will be back. Are we looking against
Sharks
Lions?
is a different outfit with the Boks. So the Sharks will take Ulster at home. The Siya Kolisi.
The same Ulster that beat...
Yeah, the same Ulster. Kingspan and the 4G pitch, there's a lot of stuff that plays into factor.
Yeah, it makes
but
sense.
even Etzebeth, Siya Kolisi, Grant Williams, all of those guys back. It's Bongi starting. It's a completely different team.
Black Springboks.
So the Sharks will take it against Ulster. The Lions one... I'm going to give it to the Lions, buddy. Ellis Park, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Scarlets is not the strongest side at the moment. So I'll back the Lions. Why not? Let's be behind our South African teams. Come on.
Come on. It's must needed.
Stormers is by 50.
By 50. Zebre.
Ja.
Don't underestimate Zebra.
Ja, kom
Ja?
ons
Momentum as well.
We don't have to give the corporate coaches answer hier behind the rack.
Ja.
Stom een schele pak slaan, man.
Yeah, so for me, partner, I'm sorry, I'm going to go against the Bulls again, and I apologize for this one. I don't know, it's just the feel of it. I mean, I'm going to go with Connacht +5. I'm going to go with Lions as well, backing them as well, +6. Sharkies versus Ulster. It's going to be a close one. Also 6 as well. And then Stormers versus Zebra +10. Stormers are looking good. How are you looking?
No, Stormers by 20 or 30. Zebra got a 0 against Glasgow, I believe, this past weekend. So I'm going to back the Stormers. They're looking really good. They started the season well. So Natla spoke in his episode about how important the start of this URC campaign was for them. They've obviously delivered on that. They've got continuity, they've got confidence, and I believe they'll take it into Parma and smash Zebra.
Yeah. Okay, guys, so check what's happening this weekend, week 4 of the URC. Exciting.
There we go, Rackers. We come to the end of our episode 118. We are proudly supported by SuperSport Bet. Make your switch, get your app, and our hydration partner Switch, obviously, the energy drink that got you through the episode. Guys, smash the subscribe button below, okay?
Now.
Join our WhatsApp channel community, and please comment how you feel about the episode, what we can improve, what guests we should have on, and what we had to say with Thurlow Mars on the episode. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Hey guys, I'm Juan de Jong.
I'm Rudy Page.
And the Rack's always clear with you. Bye-bye.
Bye.